You're listening to the Trade Show Insights Podcast, Season 13, Episode 13. I'm your host and exhibit marketing strategist, Marlis Arnold, bringing you tools to improve your exhibit results. On today's episode, brought to you by the Exhibit Marketers Cafe, you're going to hear firsthand from a first-time exhibitor with a small booth space who made a big impression and got big results.
So today on Trade Show Insights, we have a very special guest. I'm very excited to introduce her to you. Jeanne Beard from National Autism Academy is a client that I recently worked with and helped to get ready for the American Academy of Pediatrics National Conference and Exhibition. And Jeanne had such a great success story that I invited her to come and be a guest today and share her experience as an inspiration for you. So, Jeanne, welcome to Trade Show Insights.
Thank you, Marlis. Glad to be here.
Well, let's start out first about, I know this was your first exhibit ever for National Autism Academy. So give us a little bit of perspective of where you were coming from, what your goals were, what you were trying to accomplish.
Sure. We're a young company, so this was a huge investment for us. The AAP is kind of, it's not exactly a small trade show. So it was pretty intimidating for me when I decided I wanted to do it. But I knew that as, the National Autism Academy, we wanted to connect with pediatricians that were talking to parents, because I've talked to enough pediatricians who say, well, we don't know where to send the parents. And we thought that it would be ideal for us to have pediatricians referring parents to our programs. That is a lot warmer lead for us as a company than someone coming in on Facebook because of something that they read.
Right.
And because we believe in delivering the best quality material, and we have very high standards, and we're not really dealing with medical, but we're dealing with behavioral issues at the academy. We felt that it was really valuable for us to be able to communicate through the doctors to the parents. And everything we do is done online, so we have, we're looking for clients. We deal with people all over the world, not just all over the United States, but all over the world. So we knew we'd have a big reach this way. So that's why we decided to go. And our goal was to, you had helped me recognize I think there were 15,000 attendees, or supposed to be, and you had helped me to recognize that if I talked to 300 or 400, I will have, that would have been a full week, and I didn't really know what to expect, but you helped me with some numbers to understand that. But we ended up talking to 600 doctors.
Wow.
and sending 600 doctors away with literature. And instead, one of the things that I think was one of the best pieces of advice that we got from you is we didn't give away a piece of literature, because a piece of literature is they look at it and then they throw it away or whatever. We created a little tiny table tent that they could put in their waiting room that had Post-it notes on it with peel-off Post-it notes that has our contact information, how to take a free assessment, how to find free resources. So a parent that's scrambling around in the waiting room can grab one, and if they put it in their purse, it's going to stick to their wallet or whatever. Or the doctor can peel it off and just hand it to them. So it was very easy access. It was a very inexpensive table tent to create. And instead of having to have a huge long, in the booth when those people are walking past, if they don't want to stop, and we ended up asking every person, do you treat children with autism? Do you see children with autism in your practice? And half the doctors rolled their eyes at us because they're like, are you kidding me? They're all on the spectrum. But, some of them said, well, sometimes, but they would still take the table tent, and we'd say, well, we'd really appreciate it if you'd put this in your waiting room. Sure, and they'd take the table tent. So we do, we made sure that when we branded the table tent and when we put the URL on there, that we used a URL that we could track. So we're starting to see, the show was only not even a month ago, 4 weeks ago, or not, just barely 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And so we're starting to see traffic from those table tents. So,
awesome.
that was so much more effective than giving them a piece of literature and asking them to read it and to understand us and to get to know us. So, that's what we did.
Or even if you'd just given them like a poster to put up in their waiting room or something, you gave them something that then could be passed on to your ultimate client or your ultimate target audience of the parents. So I think that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So
and it was easy for them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes them look good because it reflects back on them. It's like, oh, this doctor's a great resource because he led me to this other great resource. So
yeah.
So I know we discussed a lot of different ideas when we were trying to come up with your tagline, your message for your booth. What did you end up using for that?
We ended up our backdrop, and I ended up buying just a backdrop that would hang on the rod that's at the back of the booth because I wanted something easy to carry and easy to get down there, and I didn't want to make a huge investment. So, and this was our first time, so we ended up using that picture of that red-headed boy. He's kind of like got a Home Alone face. He's got his hands on his face, this big, surprised look, and all these freckles on his face. And our tagline was "Discover the Awesome in Autism."
I love that.
Yeah, and I think because it was a positive message, I was watching people's faces as they'd walk by, and they were reading it. And our name was down lower, and so I think if I was going to do it again, the second day I ended up putting the little paper name tag that they hang the booth, they hang in the booth so you can locate your booth. I ended up putting that over the backdrop because it was hard for people at first to recognize who we are. So if I was going to do it again, I would change the graphics and I would put the company name at the top because I watched people, and that's what they were looking at, trying to figure out who you are and what you might have to offer. And they weren't reading, I don't think, the message as much as they were trying to get the name of the company. And National Autism Academy, it's pretty obvious what we do or what our area of interest is, but I think that might be the thing I would do a little differently, because I think it was hard the first day for people to really recognize quickly who we were and what we were there for.
Well, they knew you were there for autism because of the headline, Discover the Awesome in Autism, but they weren't sure exactly how you related to autism, maybe.
Right. Yeah, and they would say, who are you? Who are you? They want to know. So I started just saying to people, we're the National Autism Academy, and our mission is to encourage, educate, and support parents and professionals that are dealing with people with autism. And they'd be like, oh, awesome. And we were very well received. It was so gratifying. I mean, I must have had 50 doctors say, oh, your work is so needed. Thank you so much for what you're doing. How nice is that? Here we're trying to sell them something, and they're giving us that nice, warm, fuzzy response.
Well, and on one hand, having them stop and ask you, who are you, isn't a bad thing because, it's like the graphic and everything caught their attention. They knew you were there for autism and they wanted to learn more. So it was kind of almost a conversation starter.
Yeah. I guess you could look at it that way. Yeah, absolutely.
So it wasn't necessarily a mistake. Maybe you did it on purpose, right?
Well, kind of. But I really appreciated your help with the tagline. We worked on that quite a bit. You guided us. And this was a tagline that we actually created especially for the show, but we like it so much that we're going to keep using it because we really do want to be positive, encouraging. So discover the awesome in autism is it's a memorable phrase. And so thank you for the help with that.
Well, you're welcome. We really did work on a lot of different taglines, but I think that one was so amazing because, it really resonates and really, like you said, captures people's attention and lets them know it's like, okay, you're not just talking about autism, you're really working to do, make it better and help people, I don't want to say experience it, but thrive, helping the families thrive when they're dealing with this very uncomfortable, awkward situation. So I thought it was a great message. Well, you did something. Oh, and one other thing. So tell everybody, what was your size of booth?
We had a 10 by 10, the very smallest size booth that they offered.
Yeah, and so, that was another challenge, too, was trying to figure out how we could manage all this and what you could do and how you could really capture attention in your small booth. But you came up with a really amazing activity. Tell people about your virtual autism experience.
Yeah, we had signs, we had a small sign up at the front of the booth that was maybe, I think it was like 11 by 17, just something really small. But it said, come visit the National Autism Academy's virtual autism experience in giant letters. And I'll tell you, more people looked at that and they'd look at me and I'd just point to the back of the booth. We had a monitor there and we had headphones there and we had 2 chairs so they could sit down, which is nice for a lot of people who just need a break to sit down. So, they would put the headphones on and they'd watch this. We had on a loop, we had a YouTube clip, which you helped us find that clip, I think. And so we just had it going in a loop. And so with the headphones on, you could hear it and see it and experience what it might feel like to have autism. And it was eye-opening for a lot of people. And I had people come back the second day or the third day and say, I was here yesterday, but this is my associate, and I wanted him to see it, or I wanted her to see it, So, and we even had family members, some of the doctors' wives and things would come by, and they would want to see it. So that was a really interesting and awesome way to connect with people, to help them get because otherwise these doctors aren't sitting around looking on YouTube all day. They don't know really what it might be like. So that it really opened a lot of eyes. Yeah.
Well, and it was incredibly memorable. I mean, people are not going to if that's the video that I saw that we talked about, it was you felt what the person in the video was feeling. I mean, it was very experiential, and I think anybody who sat through and watched that, they're not going to forget what happened in that video and how that made them feel. And so, you may have really changed perspective for these doctors from this point forward. And, as they deal with autism patients, they're going to have a whole new perspective.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so, because unfortunately there's not a lot of education for doctors. So we're trying to provide, good quality information for them as well. And that was the other thing that you recommended that we do was we had a quiz, and we had our quiz there. And in retrospect, if I was going to change the quiz, I would make it shorter. It was 15 questions, and it shouldn't have taken more than a couple of minutes, but it did. It took a little bit longer, and so there were a lot of people that didn't want to take the time to do it. But the people who did do it, we have it set up through a very specific system that we use, which is called Smart Biz Quiz, and so we capture their email address and we capture their answers and we send them back an autoresponder, and now we're marketing to them. For the next 15 weeks, they will get a video from our clinical expert discussing the question that we asked, so that they can get and these are 30-second videos. So so the emails going out say, Doctor, this is a 30-second video discussing the question on blah blah blah, and hopefully we're going to get a lot of response that way and stay top of mind to the doctors, so that when they that we're actually working on building that relationship. Yeah. That was good. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, discover the awesome in autism. You discovered the awesome in trade show exhibiting on your very first time out. I think you guys did such a great job, and it was fun to help you out and to brainstorm so many of these things. But a lot of the ideas, you just took them and ran with them, and really made it effective, and obviously made a huge impression on the show floor. So kudos to you and your team. I think you guys did a phenomenal job.
Thanks. It was actually a lot of fun. I will tell you, there were moments when I was totally petrified, particularly the whole shipping stuff into there. Poor Mary Beth or Mary Ann Savage, who was our person to help us. I mean, I must have talked to her 12 times because it is overwhelming, and you get all this website information, and you got to find all and ordering, and I thought paying for the booth was going to be the expensive part. Well, okay. I learned a lot, but I will tell you that within a week after we got back from the show, one guy that I had met, they were looking for training, and within a week he contacted me and said, "We're looking for autism training, blah blah blah." We created a proposal for them, and I think that it may. I'm hoping that they may take it, and if they do, it's going to mean probably $150,000 worth of business to us over the next couple of years. So that means that alone more than paid for anything that the trade show costs. So you don't have to have a lot of big hits to make it pay off, and that's really kind of eye-opening to me, that if I put myself in the right place, it only takes a little bit of connection to really reap the benefit of the trade show.
Well, and that's the thing. You never know who's walking that show floor that, like you said, they could be one person that discovers your exhibit and you are exactly what they've been looking for. So I think that's part of the magic of trade shows is, when you go into it, you never know who's going to walk into your booth and what kind of a connection that's going to either change your life or change their life or both. So it really is a one-of-a-kind marketing experience and tool.
Yeah, it's almost like a slot machine, isn't it? Here comes another one. Let's see what we get this time. I like going to the trade show, though, and I love talking to people. I make it my challenge to see if I can catch someone who's purposely trying to ignore me, to see if I can get them to look at me. So I kind of play with people, but
Well, I don't think you had a hard time getting people's attention. It sounds like to talk to 600 physicians in a 10-by-10 booth in, what was the show, 3 days?
It was surprisingly short. I think there was 3.5 hours the first day, there was 6 hours the second day, and then 4 hours the last day. So it was not a lot of floor time.
Well, for you, it went really fast because you guys were so busy.
Yeah. Well, and that I also had a good person with me who he also was out there talking to people. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I expected it to be.
Well, that's wonderful. It's always so cool to hear the success stories of, when people take the concepts and the ideas and the strategies and really implement and put them into practice. So, I loved what I had heard from you in email, and I just really wanted to get on and have this conversation. And I think that, definitely what the National Autism Academy has accomplished at your very first show, I think it's a great inspiration and idea sparker for other exhibitors. So thank you very much, Jeanne, for being a guest on Trade Show Insights.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I hope you were as excited hearing Jeanne's story as I was, and that you got some great ideas and inspiration from it as well. A couple of quick footnotes I wanted to just share. She talked about how they talked to 600 physicians. Well, the reason she knows that, they took 600 of the table tents and they gave out every last one they had and actually ran out shortly before the show ended. So they probably talked to more than 600 physicians, but that's how they knew, because they ran out of table tents. So that was another indication they exceeded their goal. Also, I wanted to highlight the fact that most of the things they did were very low budget. The table tents weren't that expensive, and they didn't have any fancy high-tech gear for their virtual autism experience. They just used a monitor playing the video and let the attendees wear headphones. So these things can be accomplished in small booth space with not a huge budget. So there you go. If you enjoyed what you heard today and would like to spread the word about the Trade Show Insights podcast, please take a minute to leave a rating and/or review in iTunes. This helps to boost visibility so more people will find the show. Trade Show Insights is protected by the Creative Commons copyright license. You may feel free to share this recording with colleagues or embed it on your own blog as long as it is shared in its entirety and is not used for commercial purposes. To learn more, please see the link in the sidebar of the show notes at tradeshowinsights.com. Well, that's it for this episode of Trade Show Insights. Be sure to check out our show notes and archives at tradeshowinsights.com. You can also connect with me using the social media links or contact page on the site. I'm Marlis Arnold. Thanks for listening, and be sure to join us next time for more tools to improve your exhibit results.